Hello, I am Zach OJ. I recently killed Alvanax, Assassination Rogue, last Saturday, and I just wanted to go over what I did during the fight, how I plan my defensives and my offensives. There's a little bit of a thing that you do with your Deathmark. I feel the way that I used my defensives was a lot different than other people, or at least they weren't utilizing them as well as they could have been. So to start off, I think I was ranked 7 at the time of the kill. It's rank 18 now. And so the build I was running is just single target, but you swap a couple of talents. You swap the Master Assassin with improved growth. You swap that over here for throne position and Crimson Tempest. This actually adds a lot of boss damage. I'll show a little bit later the amount you gain from this. You also switch Blindside for Tiny Toxic Blade, and then over on the class tree, there's a bunch of flex talents. I don't freaking know what's up here, but you pretty much want the improved Crippling Poison. I think my guild had some struggles early on with the move speed of the parasites, and this is just kind of a way to help a little bit. You also swap for Tight Spender instead of improved ambush, and then for me personally, the 2 points in lethality was simming lower than 2 point supercharger and 1 point forced induction. And then in the middle, it's pretty standard bait and switch instead of the longer cloak. So here's my damage taken throughout the fight. You can see the ingest black blood. I managed to mitigate 51% of that entire ability. 20% overall was mitigated, just damage taken. I feel the rogue has a really good kit to handle this ingest black blood. I mean, taking less damage is just good. So you want to help your healers out, help progress the fight, not take attention from healers. Pressing your defensives, doing everything you can is just the main thing here. And so I'll start with the damage taken. So here's the way that I played every single canister. I would watch the ingest black blood cast bar either here or on the nameplate. I just kind of picked one based off of where I was looking at the time. You want to press feint right before it goes off. So I did this really late and really tight, but I think you have about half a second to press it before. And so the reason why you want to do it at the very end is because you just mitigated the first hit from that with the feint, and then you dodge, whatever. And then right here, so you see 0.1 second left, it's 0.9 on mine. So yeah, it's about 0.5 is probably what you have to press it. And so then I mitigated that one with the same feint. I mitigated 2 of them. Then I have my ERT note telling me my feint and evasion are soon, just to remind me on the second break, because there's a lot going on, dodging pulls and stuff. And so this one I do hit early here, I believe, but I hit the feint, evasion, and then we let this go through. I probably don't get the feint off. It looks like it barely missed. This is a weak core though. It's kind of hard to tell. These canisters are like one of the big parts that will make or break your healing team. Is they have a lot going on. They have to be healing a bunch. Those are just a big healer check. Later on in the fight, they're even worse. And so for the next part of the defensives, you'll want to feint this. If you ever get this egg break, you want to feint. If you just feint whenever before it goes off, it'll work. And then what I do as well is I make sure I throw a Crimson Vial on it, because you kind of get left with a nasty heal absorb. And so I Crimson Vial at least the very first one. I make sure I Crimson Vial every single time. And so you'll want to make sure you press the Crimson Vial after the pop goes off, because you don't want to waste a tick just healing nothing, overhealing yourself. So here's how the second canister goes. I gate over. Then I have a reminder on my ERT that tells me evasion in 4, which it's a little bit off, but it's a good reminder to just keep reminding me that this second one is going to be the one I pop my evasion feint on. And so you'll see I did the same thing on this canister. Is I made sure that I popped feint right before the ingest black blood, and then we just let this tick away. And so then here is where there's 2 left. And so I covered the first 2 with the first feint, and then now I'm going to feint and evasion on these last ones. Yep, I do think I got the evasion off. I'm not 100% sure, but this will cover. So it pops the last one. My feint is covering it. And so you'll see just during that whole phase 2, you're just being spam heal absorbed. I've hidden it from my frames just for FPS stuff and turned off all the auras and things, but everyone in the rages is getting a heal absorb over and over. So you kind of don't want to be taking damage there. So doing whatever you can to mitigate it is really useful, because you're gonna be in this next phase instantly where you're breaking the egg. You're gonna take a bunch of damage as well as the heal absorb that gets applied if you have one of these. And so this one, I get the same absorb. I feint too late, so that's a big mistake on me. That could have been a lot of damage mitigated, but that's also why I in a second. I double pop my Healthstone health pot, and I don't even overheal. So you see how much you actually need to be mitigating here. Like it's unreal. And I honestly should have Crimson Violed as well, but I think I was too focused on getting my focus set up because I think I missed it. But I mean, that's the fight. You want to be popping your Crimson Vial when you have an egg break. You want to feint when you have an egg break. And I think it's really good to be doing the same double feint that I do during the intermission. The evasion is like a tiny bit of mitigation. It's something because you're running the bait and switch, which gives you 20% magical damage reduction, and just the entire fight is just magical damage. So then I went into here to show my healing done. I cast Crimson Vial 3 times. Probably could have done that more. I think, like I said, on that egg break, I should have popped one. I did end up overhealing myself 0.42%. So these were all like valuable uses, as well as the no overheals on my health pot and my health stone. This is Viserio's healing CDs, raid cooldown planning stuff. This is a really good website to plan out your defensives and stuff. It's good to have a visualization of when you get your CD back, just compared to the what's being pressed, as well as if I were to add like a feint here, I could hold it and then see the timing of when it's on and things like that, and then right click to remove it. But if I also double evasion right here, it's going to tell me like, oh, I didn't have evasion there. Like I can't plan this. So yeah, this is really good. There's also an in-game version that just got released, I believe, which I do like it a lot more, is the MRT reminder. Really good stuff. You can visualize the fight just on a timeline, rather than having to plan it out in your head or thinking about it on a spreadsheet or stuff. I like the visualization. It's really good. So on to the next part, where I will show you how I did the damage I did, the way that the build interacts with stuff. So Assassination is really good at doing damage to everything on this fight. The main parts are Caustic Spatter, Crimson Tempest, and then Singular Focus. These are all going to be huge parts that you doing damage to everything just makes the boss die. So onto the CDs, I just pop my first Deathmark just onto boss. Very simple. It's a different rotation at the start. Like your opener is kind of a little bit different because you don't have improved Garrote. You don't have Master Assassin, so you don't really care about using your Vanish for anything. You could use it for an ambush, but we are going to keep it because we're using it as a root break in this fight, because you're one of the classes that can't reliably get out of your roots. Two things that we have to break roots are Vanish and Cloak of Shadows, which Cloak is way more valuable on anything else in this fight. So here is where the build's going to change the way you play. The ad breaks happen. I sort of wait for these spiders to be in. I want the full cleave on the spiders as well. So I position here with max combo points. I send out my Crimson Tempest into as many mobs as I can reach, and then that'll start the entire funnel on the boss, as well as helping kill the ads and such. So if you don't know what Singular Focus is, it is your damage dealt to targets other than your marked targets. Deals 5% plague damage to your marked target. Your mark is from your hero talent. If you don't know what this is, it's kind of crazy that you're on Broodtwister, but that's cool. And so the way that you're funneling with the Singular Focus is you're doing Crimson Tempest to everything. You're doing Caustic Spatter to everything. You're just Fan of Knives to everything. The Fan of Knives is a lot smaller than the rest of the stuff, but it is what it is. Something that you might not know about Crimson Tempest is that it deals extra damage when multiple enemies are afflicted, increasing by 20% per target up to 100%. So the way that it works is I'm snapshotting the Crimson Tempest onto all of these mobs. This 16-second Crimson Tempest that's on both of the spiders, on this worm, every single parasite, and on the boss, it counts as 100% increased damage. And it's going to stay like that until it runs out. If there's 5 targets, then you can reapply it. If they're going to die soon, you might want to reapply. Just send it really quickly. It's kind of something you need to pay attention to on the fly and just think about consciously. After you've done both your Caustic Spatter is up, your mark is on the target, your Crimson Tempest is out, you just start slamming in Venoms. You just Fan of Knives and Venom. Fan of Knives and Venom. So you see right here, I do get rooted, and that's where my Vanish comes into play, because I see a swirly under me. I kind of sat in the root until I needed to use my Vanish. So I see the swirly, and I just vanish and then walk out of it. I do let Caustic Spatter drop for a second there, which kind of little, but so right here, there's 3 targets now. I don't want to reapply this Crimson Tempest, because this is snapshotted at 5 targets. Then same thing with the rest of my CDs, pretty boring. You just want to send your Kingsbane on CD right here. So then here's second ad breaks. It'll go the exact same way. I made sure my Rupture was up there. I should have been paying more attention to the Rupture and had it up going into this, because I kind of wasted kind of 2 globals because I had to use the Rupture and then get back combo points. And so then I reapply the Crimson Tempest to everything, and then we just start slamming. So I'm holding my second Deathmark, and it's safe to do so in at least the strat that I'm doing, because we have our lust planned for 6 minutes 30. So it's not precisely on my 2-minute timer, which I have a couple of globals to throw out at the start. So I get my opener out maybe like 10 seconds in. I'll have about 20 seconds to play around with during this part. And so that's kind of where I used it here, is to just delay it. So I wait to prep my Deathmark until as soon as the eggs go out. And now I just know it's safe to send. Even though something a little bit unfortunate happens where I get this web here, and then I'm trying to, the main person I'm looking for right here is the tank, is I'm trying to not web my tank. That's a big no-no. And I pressed the macro because I used the vanish earlier. The warlock under me, I think, was pre-immuning, so I could have just kind of walked on his head. I didn't know that, so I ended up rooting the priest, which he had fade, luckily, and so he's able to break his root there. So this CD usage just kind of goes the same way, is I just want to use my CDs during this, get my Crimson Tempest out, and then just start slamming in Venoms. It's really simple. You keep your mark up, you're just doing single target damage, and sometimes you press Crimson Tempest. So yeah, this ad break is the same thing, Crimson Tempest, classic spatter, just simple stuff, fan and venom, fan and venom, fan and venom. And then this egg break is where my Deathmark lines up. A little bit unfortunate that I had an egg here. This is usually where I'm able to do the same thing as the third set on the first canister break. So a little unfortunate, but that's okay, because I just shadow step in and then just get my CDs rolling instantly. I think that's higher priority than getting an Venom out, is getting the CDs rolling, get them on cooldown so I can have them up for the lust. Same thing, Crimson Tempest, make sure it hits a bunch of stuff, at least 5 targets. So this egg break we played a little bit differently. My raid leader called for extra juice on these spiders. I think the tanks were having a rough time on these ones specifically, so as you can see, I'm just kind of mouse over rupturing the spiders. Then I do prio putting the Kingsbane on cooldown before rupturing the last one. I think that's more important to get that rolling out. It does more damage by the cleave. And then coming into the last parts, very simple again. This one is going to line up with our Deathmark on the ad break. This is our lust, as you can see, like I said, and I have my second pot up. And so I'm going to be popping my Deathmark with the pot. Same thing as the rest. Crimson Tempest when the ads are out. Just keep going. Do not reapply Crimson Tempest. Waste your time. Just slamming Venoms over and over and over. Just make sure the caustic's up, slamming Venoms. And yeah, I do think I get one extra. I get a Kingsbane usage on this last egg break. No, I don't get a Kingsbane. I just kind of chuck the this to Shiv at the end. And boom, that's how you do Broodtwister as Assassination Rogue. Very easy. Your defenses are important. Then just to show you how much damage the actual Crimson Tempest is doing that I'm explaining is I had 7 casts of Crimson Tempest. Guess what? There's 7 egg breaks that we did. You go towards the boss damage, and then you'll see the Crimson Tempest with 7 casts. Very efficient cast. Very efficient cast of my combo points, and it's doing 50k DPS, 3.21 per cast. And you can see my Venoms are doing 2.47 per cast. So it's definitely worth to be using that during that. You're killing the ads with the Crimson Tempest, as well as hitting the boss even harder with a singular focus. From all the cleave you're doing to the ads, the spatters, hitting the ads, all of that is just feeding into this. The singular focus is right here. So then another thing that was simming higher for me on this fight was using the Authority of Radiant Power on both my weapons. This is the main stat proc that gives 1560 main stat. I'm not sure if that tooltip's correct. It gives some amount of main stat. It's simmed a teensy bit better in single target for me than the Authority of Depths or something like that. Whatever the other one is, it does like shadow damage, but it only does it to one target. The main stat's gonna scale higher with the AoE stuff that we're doing, so it's just gonna do more damage than it's even doing in the sim, because the sim is just single target. I did also find from my breakdowns and things, the closest thing I could find on a sim was Raidbot's Hectic Ag Cleave. I thought I was trolling by simming it because I was just kind of joking around being like, maybe this does something. But the breakdown that it had in the sim was actually really similar to what I was doing in the fight, at least through our prog. So I kind of took its information actually useful. So if you wanted to do a Hectic Ag Cleave sim, maybe that could help you. That led me to using different weapon oil. I used Algari Mana oil, 2 of these because it simmed high for me. Then I also used the, I think they're called like something patties, like meat patty. I don't know what they were called. It was some food, haste crit food, simmed higher for me. It was like 0.5% on both of those increases. Maybe that was helping me. I don't really know. I simmed it. It looked really similar to what the damage breakdown was on this fight for me. So I just took it as actual valuable information that I could use. And so yeah, that's that. That's Broodtwister as Assassination Rogue. If you have any questions, you can ask them. I'll answer whatever questions. I had a really fun time doing this boss. If you'd like to see other bosses, I'll make a video explaining what I do in the other bosses as well. I have like pretty well parsed on other bosses, so if you'd like to see what I do, then I'll explain it to you. I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. So thank you for watching, and hope this gave you some information. Good luck.